Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Books, Business, and Branding Podcast for Authors. I am your host, Ashley M. King, and I am a self-publishing strategist, and I help people of faith tell their story with leveraging their message to create brands and not just books. All right. So, guys, I want to say that it is 6 a.m. here, and I have this amazing author that we were able to connect through my Marketing 101 book camp. And I'm just surprised. Like, she stuck through it. Guys, it was 10 a.m. here on the East Coast, and it was 10 p.m. there in the Philippines. And she stayed the entire time of the course. And I want to say kudos to you. So right now it is 6 a.m. here and 6 p.m. there. I want to welcome the author, Victoria Nolasco. And she has authored Toddler Talking: Boost Your Child's Language and Brain Development in 3 Easy Steps. Hey, Victoria, how are you doing today?
Hi, Ashley. Your course was really engaging, so I'm glad I stayed up for it. It was totally worth it.
Awesome. I'm so glad. So, I got to get to know you a little bit through the course, but I want you to tell the listeners about you and about your book.
I'm a developmental and behavioral pediatrician, and I'm also a mom. I have a young child of my own. And my book is aimed to help parents of babies and young kids. Now, it says toddler talking, but I actually start with what parents can do even when their kids are young babies to help their babies learn to talk. And I want to do it in a way that's easy and practical that any parent can do. You don't need a ton of time to implement the strategies that I talk about in the book.
Definitely. I mean, so I'm a new mom. Well, I'm gonna say he's 10 months, the first time having, a child. And I'm always looking for different resources to definitely help my son and, become a better parent. So he, grows up and, has lived impactful life. So, I mean, what kind of tips, if you're able to share that, a parent can be able to take away after they've read your book?
Wow, 10 months old. That's such an exciting and that's such a precious time.
Thank
And
you.
it's also amazing that you have time to do this because, when
Lord.
you have a 10-month-old, yes, I'm sure you're always chasing him all over the house.
Yes. He's running now.
Wow. Yeah. So from the book, I hope parents will walk away knowing what they can do to help their babies or their toddlers learn to talk. So the main thing that I teach is the first thing I want them to do is I hope they can truly connect and communicate with their kids. So in the book, I walk through the process of doing this. So it's a 3-step plan. The basis of it, it's really connection and communication because I'm sure you can relate with this, but there are so many marketing and guilt messages aimed at parents. We just open our social media feed, we open the internet. There's always somebody telling us you should do this, you should do that. And we can feel like we're always working so hard, but no matter what we do, it's never enough. Somebody will say, you have to do this. And then we get FOMO, like, should I do more? Am I doing enough for my child? But if we look at what science really says, we'll see that the foundation is actually their relationship with us, your son's relationship with you as a loving parent, and, or their relationships with loving caregivers. And when we rush to give our babies and our kids everything, like we buy all the apps, all the programs, and, everything that we see, and we try to fit everything into our already crazy schedules, we can end up missing out on what science actually says kids need, which is the connection with us. And sometimes, it can be difficult to just do that, to just sit and connect, listen to and observe our kids because we feel like nothing's happening. But actually, that's what babies and toddlers need most. When we take time to just be with them, to respond to what they say or they do, we respond to them when they babble, and that's when the brain connections are built.
Definitely. What you just said is so true. Like last night, I was scrolling on Instagram and I came across this program for babies. It was like under the age of 2 is when babies learn the most. And, we have this program that can bring, so every baby is a genius. So we have this program that can bring the genius out of them. So, it's like join and then we meet, 4 days out of the week. And I was just thinking, like, I like the program, but am I going to be dedicated as far as the amount, I think it says only 5 minutes a day though, but I was like, to add something else on to my schedule, and I want to do it, but I'm like, am I going to be fully committed? But the fact that you said, it's most important, like the relationship, that I have with my son to bring him up in a loving and caring and safe environment. Definitely. I mean, that is refreshing to hear, because wherever you go, you're going to have that mom guilt, that parent guilt, wondering if you are doing enough, wondering if what you are doing is going to make the impact, is it the best that you could have done? So I know you said you were a mom, was there something that happened? What is like the inspiration behind writing this book?
Well, I'll just share a story with you. I'm a developmental pediatrician, so even before I became a mom, I've been advising parents on how to help their kids.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I became a parent, I started browsing to Instagram and looking at the internet and seeing all of these things that we never covered in our training.
Mm.
And then, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm thinking, wait, does this mean that there's something that, there's some evidence that I don't know, or there's really no evidence for this? And you're right, I can totally relate when you said, we don't want our kids to miss out on something that they need. So I tried it. And I got frustrated because, I get so tired. Like, you'll see this activity,
Yes.
they will say, you have to do this, you have to do that. And then, my child wanted to do something else, and I felt like I was failing. So I was talking with my mentors. My mentors, they're also really experienced developmental pediatricians. They've raised wonderful kids who are now successful adults. And then they said, they just laughed. They said, you don't need any of that. From from your training what you should do. So there's a method called serve and return interactions. I talk about that in the book. There are excellent videos about that on YouTube. And also from the website of the Center on the Developing Child in Harvard University. So you look at your child, you look at what he or she is interested in, then you follow their interest, you comment on it, then you have this back and forth communication. So I let go of all those activity guides. I let go of all the things that I read and just did that. And within just 3 minutes, my child was, my baby, he was a baby then, around 9 or 10 months old. He was squealing in the light. He was laughing. He was so happy. And I'm thinking, parents need to know about these things. They need what we learned in our training, that we talk about in our medical conferences, has to reach more people. So I guess that's why I wanted to write the book. I wanted them to feel that joy and that peace and that relaxation that comes from knowing what to focus on and what to say no to. And by the way, for those parents listening to this and then they're thinking, oh no, I'm the one doing all of that activities. I'm not discounting all of your efforts. Those are wonderful things to do maybe when our kids get older. But during the baby and toddler years, these crazy times, we're worried about weaning and feeding and diapers and toilet training and all of those things. That was actually my objective in this book. A lot of times, we see something like, oh, this is what we can do to help our kids. But I don't have the time yet. So we keep putting it off for when we have more time. But I'm sure you can tell me, and my friends with older kids tell me, if you wait until you have more time as a parent, that's never going to happen. So that's what I try to do in this book. I talk about how parents can help their kids learn to talk and boost their brain development, boost their language development, bring out the best in their kids with the schedule that they currently have. If you're a busy parent, you have to do chores while you're with your child. I talk about how to do it that way.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. Yeah, so I am that mom. Like, I am in the kitchen trying to wash dishes, try to clean up, and he's just like all back and forth. Like, he started walking. He took his first step 7 months, started walking 8. So now he's in I like to run phase. So I would definitely love that is good information, because I think in my mind, when I think about trying to teach him new things, it's kind of like, okay, let's sit down, have your undivided attention, which is very hard for a child, period. Like, their minds are just all over the place. And even with social media and television, depending on some parents, you monitor the screen time, or some parents just like, hey, they can watch all they want. Their attention is like all over the place. So that's good to know. It's great for those busy parents that are like have it, have to kind of monitor them, and you teach them while, handling chores and different things like that. So considering your experience and your background, did you have to do like maybe perhaps extensive, research for this book, or it just kind of came natural because you've had years of experience?
Oh, well, actually, a lot of what I wrote in the book would be the things that I would also explain over and over again in the clinic. And
Okay.
then there were times that I realized I was already lecturing to parents. And I'm sure people here can relate that, nobody wants to hear a lecture when they're in the doctor's office. So I was
Yeah.
thinking, I wish I could just have something that that I can hand over to the parents, and then they can read it and absorb it on their own time and apply little by little. So that's basically what I put in the book. However, I wanted to cite a lot of evidence sources, a lot of research evidence. So
Okay.
my research was going back to those scientific journals that we've been reading and we've been exposed to. And
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that the way I explained it was, really quite accurate and in keeping with the research. And of course, I had to put in those sources.
Okay. Definitely. So how long? I'm just curious because I know it took me 18 months to write my very first book. How long did it take you to write this one?
Oh, well, that's interesting. It actually depends on when you consider the start.
Okay.
When my child was a baby, I wanted to get a book out. So this was almost 4 years ago. And I attended in-person seminar on how to write a book. I came away with an outline, and then that's it. and then afterwards, I started during the pandemic, I started the blog. So I had this collection of articles, and then since I had this content earlier this year, so that was last January, I started putting it together into a process, and then from there, so the actual writing was since January, but all of the ideas, the outline and everything actually started way before that.
Yeah, definitely. People have to realize there is like a process to doing it. Even if someone's writing a fictional book, the backstory, building the characters, it's more to it than just writing a book. Or it's more to it than just writing when it comes to publishing a book. So, what would you say, in your opinion, or was the most difficult part of the publishing process for you?
Oh, for me, it's actually the editing,
Ah,
because I'm actually quite fortunate that I had a good editor, but we had a
okay.
lot of back and forth communication. And then, for example, I would say, okay, it's already fine. And then I'd look through it again, and I want to make more changes. So I kept making more and more changes until I said, this has to stop. At some point, I have to get it
Yes.
out. And in fact, even now that it's already printed, when I look at the book, I see some things that I think I could explain this better in this part. And well, I guess now also that I'm distributing it, I'm quite thankful because the entire first printing, we printed 1,000 copies and they're all sold out. And we have a waiting list for the second printing.
Oh,
But that was all for
yay.
personal contacts. Locally, I'm not sure how big the self-publishing industry is here, but up until now, I don't know how to get to the major bookstores in here. But I think that, the self-publishing support through Amazon and Vervante, Ingram Spark, all the things that you taught us in the course have really made it a lot easier for us. But not all
Yes.
of them are available here. But, see,
Okay.
that's how I was able to reach an international market.
Definitely. I want to say kudos. Most authors do not sell over 250 copies of a book in a lifetime. So you sold 1,000 of your print run. That isn't a major accomplishment. And like you said, you're just local. So it wasn't like, international sales. So there is so much more to come from that.
Well, I'm actually thankful to my colleagues because my colleagues were so supportive and they were the ones who recommended my book. That was
Yes.
really a huge factor.
And so that's I don't know if you noticed, like one of the things as far as, promoting your book it's definitely, having relationships start, talking about it before it's even published. Like, I don't know if that was perhaps intentional, but a lot of times people want to be quiet about their book until it comes out. But I've known authors, you can pre-sale your book before you've written a word. Like, you do want to stay committed to the time frame that you've informed people that it will be out. But I love the fact that, you have this network of people who will support you or have supported you. So that, great. And I do want to talk about, I love your title, like Toddler Talking, but the subtitle is what makes it key. And it definitely explains that what the title is. And I love how you've broken it down. Boost your child's language and brain development in 3 easy steps. That's phenomenal. Like, I tell people your subtitle should definitely explain, if I just had Toddler Talking, I would have no idea what it's about. I could guess, but your subtitle makes it clear and precise what it's about. Like, how did you come up with that, the title and the subtitle?
Oh, my original title that I came up with on my own was actually Help Your Toddler Learn to Talk.
Okay.
And then I didn't know what to do with the subtitle. And it was actually my editor who suggested the title and subtitle. Then I had my audience vote on it on social media and also through my email list, and Toddler Talking and that subtitle I have now won. So it was actually my audience who decided on that.
Yeah. I'm like, did you learn to do that in that, I think you said that workshop you went previously to?
Well, at that time, I wasn't blogging yet. So
Okay.
if they mentioned it, it probably didn't sink in.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
but I think,
I just want
I realized that going through making a blog and going on social media first also helped when it came time to write the book, because I knew better what moms wanted. I'd get questions, I'd get responses, so I knew better what to write about.
Definitely. Like, once again, like, the stuff you are doing is kind of like the stuff that I tell authors. Like, you have to, like, go ahead and engage with the audience. So the fact that you had a blog and you were already nurturing and creating an audience is amazing. Like, that is just kudos to you. Whether you learned it or you just kind of figure out, to do it, that is amazing. Because a lot of times authors just like, I don't know what to do. It's like, okay, go ahead and find ways to start nurturing this audience. Get them warmed up. Get them to know you personally. Because in business, authors, let's say you are a business, you are a brand, people buy from you because they like you, like your colleagues. Like, you're a wonderful woman. I want to support her. Let's purchase her book and tell other people about it. Because not only she's great, but the information and the resource that she has put in this book is phenomenal to help moms like me that is across the world that's going to be raising a toddler pretty soon. So I want to say the steps, like just what you've been sharing in this interview, is phenomenal as far as help building your brand, your audience, and to publishing your book is just great. So is there anything upcoming that you have? Because I noticed you said that you didn't, when you look back at your book, there was some more additional stuff that you perhaps wish you would have had in. Is there perhaps like a part 2 coming or another book in the works, or is it just too soon right now?
Oh, I enjoyed writing the book so much that I think I definitely want to write more books in the future. So what I'm working on right now is a book about toddler discipline, because those are the 2 biggest questions that I get. So the first is helping kids learn to talk, and the second is how to discipline a toddler. So hope I'll be able to come up with that next year.
I love that. So if you can, like, your book is available on Amazon right now for purchase. So once again, it's called Toddler Talking, Boost Your Child's Language and Brain Development in 3 Easy Steps. What are your website or social media, how our listeners can follow you?
Oh, they can go to my blog at effectivemommy.com. I also have courses about toddler behavior. I have a course about toddler learning, not just language, but also social skills, movement skills, what your child needs to know during the toddler years. I have a course about that. And they can go to Effective Mommy on Instagram or on Facebook. And on Amazon, it's actually on Kindle Direct Publishing right now. So it would be available for free for those who have a Kindle Unlimited account.
Awesome. Yeah. So once again, effectivemommy.com. If you have a Kindle, you can go ahead and get that, I guess, the download as far as that program they have. But if not, go ahead and support and purchase the book, Toddler Talking, on Amazon. And you can go to, can you say your web is effectivemommy.com? Okay, and Effective
Yes.
Mommy on all social media platforms. So I just like, one, I guess, personal question per se. So you're in the Philippines. What is your favorite spot to visit in your country?
Well, there are actually a lot of wonderful places here. I'd say my favorite is Palawan.
Okay.
It's a beautiful island with pristine beaches. There's nature there.
Awesome. All right. So before we end today's podcast, is there any additional information, anything you would like to share with our audience that perhaps you didn't get a chance to mention previously?
Well, I'm sure there are parents in this audience, and I just want to assure everybody that, if you're listening to this podcast that is about a book, about how to be a better parent, I think you're a good parent. So there are a lot, as I said, there are a lot of guilt and marketing messages on the internet. So, but let's just look at our kids and let our kids be our guide. Let's take even just 5 or 10 minutes to spend with them.
Mm-hmm.
And they see in the research that actually it's those short periods throughout the day in everyday life that mean a lot to their brain development, to their language development, to building that connection. So I hope you get the book and read more about suggestions on how to do this. I have activities divided by age, and they're simple activities that you don't even need to prepare for. But even just listening from this interview, if you have a child, so you take the time today to, while your child is playing, just sit there and watch and observe, respond to what your child is doing. And, I think you're really going to see the difference and you're going to be so happy with the results. And so will your child.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Victoria, for that wonderful information. And guys, once again, Toddler Talking, Victoria Nolasco. Please go out and support all the parents. If you know of a parent that has a toddler, go ahead, purchase a copy of the book and have this shipped to them as a gift. And I'm pretty sure that they will thank you. Once again, Victoria, thank you so much for your time. And you enjoy, I guess you have a great evening. And I'm going to go ahead and begin my day.
Thanks so much, Ashley, for waking up early for this.
Thank you. You have a blessed day.